Welcome to the Margin Business Digital Entrepreneur podcast. So we have Ben for the third time here. For everyone who don't know Ben, Ben is a serial entrepreneur. Wow, is very active in the space, just wrote a book, many other things going on. So Ben, just tell us a little bit about that. I mean, we had you on the show for the third time. Finally, the book will come out in a few days. I will have a link. I will have the book as well. There are plenty others which will have the book to a review about it. To support you, and not only to support you, because the book must be good as well, because there is real life experience in there. So Ben, please tell us more about it.
Thanks for having me, Omar. It's so great to be back on the show. So for those who do know me, bear with me while I briefly explain to those who don't know me who I am. I'm Ben Leonard. I'm from Northeast Scotland in the UK. I got into e-commerce in 2016. Kind of by accident. Before that, I was an environmental scientist, but I got really sick with a heart problem and I had to stop work. I'm fine now, but while I was recovering, I needed something to do. So I started developing fitness products for a hobby. My intention was to sell those directly into gyms, and that didn't go too well. So I started selling online. It turned out that did go well, and it turned out I was good at it. So I quit my job and I grew that business. And in late 2019, we were doing $6 million per year in sales, selling in the UK and Europe mostly. And then I sold that brand. And now I'm building new brands. So I co-own a brand in the fitness space again. I'm developing a baby brand right now as well. And I've got equity in some other brands that I mentor. And I consult. And I decided last year to write a book. I remember the moment I decided to write the book, Omar. I was sitting in a conference. It was early 2022, and there was a guy on stage, a guru, a quote unquote guru. And everybody in the audience was mesmerized, lapping it up. But I knew that this guy, what he was saying on stage was actually mostly correct. But I'd been doing it for years, and I did some digging. He'd never really done anything. And he never told us about his brands or his products. It was all theory. And that frustrated me because it was a case of one of these people who did kind of all right, but not really that good, got out at the right time and then started to teach with zero evidence. And so I decided, right, I'm going to come out of stealth mode. I'm going to write a book and show people the truth from someone who's been there and done it. The book is called Quit Stalling and Build Your Brand. Subtitle is You Don't Need an MBA to Crush It in E-commerce. And it's basically a roadmap of business principles applied to e-commerce for somebody who's got an idea and hasn't started yet, or somebody who's building an e-commerce business but needs a bit of guidance from someone who's been there and done it. What it isn't one of those books that goes out of date in a couple months, because it's all about how to do something on Amazon or Shopify or ClickFunnels or whatever, because that goes out of date quickly. Instead, it's a book that I hope will bring people value in years to come, because it's timeless business principles, but applied to our world of e-commerce. Everything from developing products all the way through to marketing them and then selling the business. And I can't wait for everyone to be able to get it on October 10th.
Wow, October 10th is not so long anymore. So we have 1 week left.
Yep.
Right. So do you sell it in any major stores, or is it for now only planned on Amazon?
It's going to be available in most places you'd expect to be able to get books. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, if you're in the UK, Waterstones, all those kind of places. Most bricks and mortar bookstores won't be carrying physical copies. You'd have to order it in. So your best bet is to just get it online. And the easiest way to do that is Amazon in any country. There will be an audiobook coming. I just haven't recorded it yet. So if you do want to get it, go and search on Amazon for Quit Stalling and Build Your Brand, and my name, Ben Leonard. But if you go to quitstallingbook.com/Omar, you will get some bonuses that you can't get unless you go to quitstallingbook.com/Omar.
Wow, that's an extra bonus for that one, yeah?
Yeah. There's an e-commerce hacks ebook that you can get.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it's great to really give the value back. And what I like in this is what you just mentioned, the timeless factor, because there is way too many things nowadays especially on YouTube, where you have specialities going on, and how to, for example, optimize a listing, and they spend hours, for example, to go on YouTube and try to bring this to everyone, you know. So what I like to do, I mean, I do the same, but I know that it's so short-lived.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
you
you're
know
totally right.
that you need to update it all the time, and that's why I, for example, choose to say that do the same as you in my podcast, to talk with entrepreneurs and talk about something which is timeless, you know, because maybe in 500 years time they can come back, or let's do it short term, maybe in 5 years time something can come back and say, oh look, they did this, they did that, maybe I can do the same, you know, and just follow the path, you know. So that's why I really like the timeless content, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for example, there's a key chapter in the book about marketing, and a lot of that chapter is based on the principles of Robert Cialdini, who wrote Influence, and he talks about the 7 principles of persuasion. And he wrote that book a long time ago, but those principles are timeless. So then it's about, okay, how can we take those timeless principles and apply it to e-commerce? Another guy who I hugely respect, and I think he wrote the greatest business book of all time, is Michael Gerber, and he wrote the E-Myth Revisited. There's a section where we talk about how we take what he taught us and apply it to our e-commerce business now. And the beauty of it is it will still be relevant in 10, 15, 20 years' time, because we're not talking highly technical stuff that requires certain platforms or technology that's going to change in a few months, probably, such is the pace of change now. Don't get me wrong, I love trying new things and playing around with technology, but we need to remember that ultimately it's not hacks that are going to make our business succeed. It's getting the fundamentals right. Whether you're just starting out or whether you're already generating, you know, $10 million a year in revenue, when we get those foundational principles in place, then we really give our business a strong basis on which we can build it.
Definitely, and please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's not good to create videos to show everyone for free how you do optimize listings, or translate correctly, or write content correctly. It's just that it's such a time. First of all, it's very time consuming, and second of all, in 3 months' time, somebody comes to you and say, "Oh, look at this wrong. You know what did you do? It's not like this anymore. You know, like, please, can you check the date? It's like outdated. You know, so." You know, it's right. Like for the moment, I'm happy to show, like, if somebody's interested, come to me directly. I'm happy to show it like this, you know. But to record it, and then after 3 months to record another one and another one and another one, it's because, as you said, everything is changing so fast. So it's good to, I think it's good to create that content as well. And there is a lot of people who create good content about that. But I think the most important is to look at the long term, because all the sellers, they think they can do it one time, for example, to optimize, or to do something specific with the listing, and then they don't have to redo it again. But it's an ever-changing process which you have to go through. Same as business, same as life. It's always changing, and that's why I really, it's really good that you did this. Just one question: did you as well mention the aggregators in the book?
I do actually mention them. So that's an interesting point. So at the end of the book, I talk about exiting your business, and I do mention aggregators in so much as, you know, talking about how they are private equity-backed organizations seeking to roll up e-commerce businesses. And although, you know, at the time that we're recording this in October 2023, there's a bit of negative press around them, because several of them have been having difficulty. One filed for bankruptcy a couple of weeks ago. There is a rumor that Thrasio, the biggest of them all, is going to also file for bankruptcy. That doesn't mean that the model of private equity-backed organizations rolling up e-commerce businesses doesn't work. Remember when cell phones came out, and like everybody had a Nokia 3210 and they played Snake, right? That's where we are right now with the aggregators. And the beauty of it is that already, and I know this because I work, you know, I co-own Ecom Brokers. We're an e-commerce mergers and acquisitions strategy planning firm. we work with aggregators, and we can see that already there are newer aggregators, and some of the older ones who've got their act together they've looked back at the Nokia 3210 and they've improved. The early guys, the pioneers, they were the canary in the coal mine, and now they are getting better, and they are learning from mistakes that have been made. And many of the newer aggregators, they're not financial guys, they're e-commerce guys. They're e-commerce guys who know how to run e-commerce brands. The difference between them and the first guys is the first group didn't know what they were doing. They just knew how to raise money. The new guys know what they're doing, and they have got other people behind them raising the money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
So I put that in the book. But you hit on something else interesting there before, when you're talking about creating all this content that sometimes can go out of date. One of the things that I talk about in the book, especially at the start of the book, is how what is fantastic is that we live in a time when almost anybody can learn almost anything that they want for free or very cheaply on the internet. So when you're creating all this valuable content for us, and other people are creating this helpful, valuable content for us, they are giving us access to this level playing field where we can become entrepreneurs. Because, I don't think I could have become an entrepreneur 20 years before I did, because the level playing field for me to get access to all this free information didn't exist, or at least wasn't as accessible. But I honestly think we are the luckiest generation to have ever walked the earth. Because some people will listen to this being like, really? Like, we live in a time with climate change, the state of politics right now is terrible. We've just had a pandemic. There's terrible things happening in the world. To which I would say, yeah, that's all true. But there's always been terrible things happening in the world. We just didn't hear about them too much because we didn't have the internet, and press wasn't the way that it is now. But we live in a time when we can literally learn and do almost anything we want. And almost anyone can get into e-commerce, provided they can get their paws on a little bit of startup capital.
I think that's kind of true. There needs to be now a little bit of startup capital. And like you said, the content is for free now. And, I think you can see it as well coming, but I'm 100% sure in a few years' time, it's YouTube will not be for free anymore. They will charge. They will charge maybe $19.99 for a month, in order to watch content.
Yeah.
It's very possible, It's
and
so then it's not free anymore, and I think it will be throughout all the platforms like this, because at some point, like I said, the volume is too big. The stuff need to be put somewhere on the servers. It's like upload videos is good, but after a while
they might do that. I mean, they make a ton of money from ad revenue.
Sure.
I don't know if they do that. I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, why shouldn't they charge?
Twitter or X did it already, so they did it partly now.
Yep.
They
might well do that. And you know what? Every time a new barrier goes up in the world of entrepreneurship, so let's say that there's a new barrier, they might charge for people to. I don't think they would charge people to watch YouTube. I think they would charge people like you and me to create content. If we want to, we might have to pay to get our content shown a bit more. But every time that a new barrier like that goes up, I say, excellent, because
opportunity.
Well, yeah, there's that, but also barriers to entry mean I'm going to beat more people, because a lot of people cannot be bothered to overcome the barrier, either because they choose not to pay it because they don't see the long-term value in it, so they don't want to invest in it, or they don't want to work hard enough. So let me give you an example, and this is a story that's straight out of the book. It's unrelated to YouTube, but the principle applies. And you'll like this because it relates to translation, actually, right? So back in about 2017, the UK had voted to leave the European Union, but we hadn't yet left the European Union. So I was able to turn on an Amazon program called Pan EU. And this meant that I could start stocking my products all over Europe in European fulfillment centers, and Amazon would move it there for me. So I would continue to send my inventory to a fulfillment center in the UK, And for free, Amazon would check what the demand is across Europe and move my products into fulfillment centers everywhere, in Italy, Spain, Poland, Germany, France. And to register for this program, I had to register for VAT in France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Poland, Czech Republic, the Netherlands, and Sweden. And especially back then in 2017, it was a headache. There was not a lot of resources to help me do it. There was a lot of documentation to fill out, many forms which had to be filled out in different languages. And I had to translate a lot of information. And for many of them, I had to have it translated only by people with a particular qualification. There was one in particular, this was hilarious. To get that registered in Spain, I had to have a document notarized. I don't even know quite what that means. But a notary had to notarize it. I had to find like the one guy in my city who could do it. And this was the best bit. I honestly, I laughed when I saw him do this. He had to stamp my document with a medieval wax seal. Like, you know, like when they used to seal letters in medieval times with wax, you'd melt the wax with a candle. He had to do it. It was hilarious. It was a huge, huge headache. But after I did it, my sales pretty much doubled overnight, because my competitors could not be bothered to do it. And I call that like the Sonic the Hedgehog strategy, jump through the hoops. And when you jump through the hoops, you emerge on the other side ahead of all the competition who couldn't be bothered to go to the effort or couldn't be bothered to pay the money to do it. So when platforms like X make us pay, and when platforms like YouTube, you know, if they do it, make creators pay, I will say, excellent. It's another hoop that I can jump through that other people will choose not to, and that's how I win. And I talk about that a bit in the book. That is the kind of strategy that helps you beat the competition.
I can tell you that's completely correct, and we have seen this recently as well in the UAE. For example, the brand registry there. I don't know how much is the brand registry in the UK, like £300 or something like that.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, I think it's about, when I checked, because obviously I wanted to, I checked all the routes, you know, but you need to have an address in the UK. So it's like £300, something like that. So because in the UAE, and we just registered now our brand, it's about $2,500 to register a brand, to get the certificate for 10 years. So this is exactly what we're talking about. This is an entry barrier. People, there's not many, only the real serious guys will go for it, you know, and the rest will just stay generic and just float around in an open sea of sharks which are hanging on them and pulling them down, you know.
And I think the problem, the reason people do that is they have a short-termist mindset. They view it as a cost rather than an investment.
Exactly.
Because they can't see the immediate ROI on spending the $2,500 to get their trademark in the UAE. But actually, if only they did that, they would unlock an incredible amount of potential. It's an incredible investment, with the potential ROI on that $2,500 is many, 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 many times. But people are short-termist. And I guess those people probably aren't listening to this podcast, many of them, because they're not the type of entrepreneur who wants to consume this sort of content. So if you're listening to this, congratulations, because you're the type of person that will pay that $2,500.
Exactly. And even pay for books, and, you know, not only one book, a lot of books, you know, in order to, you know, to get a look at people's brains, you know. That's actually how I see reading. It's you get a glimpse of the inside of the brain, or the thought system of another person, of a successful person, or of a very high thinker, you know. I think it's super important, and it's definitely something amazing that you give here to us. And there is not too many out of the e-commerce circle who have a book out there. There's a lot of consultants, a lot of marketing stuff, people, they wrote books, but as far as I know, Ben, you are one of the first ones, I think, for as far as I can remember.
There's a couple of people in the, like, particularly who focus on Amazon who've written books, and I've actually, you know, and they're actually good books. I respect them. What I was trying to do, and what I think I've achieved, and I hope that the audience will agree if they would be so kind as to check it out, is write something that's not specific to one platform and is more about e-commerce more generally, and which will provide everyone at any stage in their e-commerce journey with a value for years to come, rather than being about one platform, which evolves all the time, and therefore the book goes out of date pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Can you just give us a something super exciting out of the book you didn't reveal yet?
Ooh, something super exciting that I have not revealed. Sure. I mean, so with the book, at the end of every chapter, there's a QR code and a link, and you can go and get a ton of free resources.
That is good.
And so there's calculators, there's workbooks, there's videos where I explain things, there's links to other resources that I trust and use in my own businesses, and I want you guys to have the benefit of. So that's really exciting. Because I wanted to, while I was writing the book, I was thinking, oh, I want to go deeper into this, or I want to literally show them how to do it. But there's only so much you can do literally on the pages of a book. So I thought, well, I'll just put a link in there and they can go and get it. So yeah, when you go to, and you know what? Actually, here's something for I've never done this before. For your listeners, now if you're listening to this before October 10th, this probably isn't live yet. So
we will try our best.
But if you go to quitstallingbook.com/resources, before you've even bought the book, we're gonna
put it down here.
Yeah, you can have the free resources before you've even bought the book. So how's that? So this is the virtual handshake I'm giving with everyone in the audience who's listening now. quitstallingbook.com/resources, but you have to promise to go get the book. Otherwise, the resources won't really make that much sense. But you can dig into them and start to use them before the book has even landed on your doormat.
Great. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Ben. That's great value. And I wish you really, I don't think best of luck for sure, much success. But I think anyway, the book has already made waves before it came out. And I can trust your content because you stand for what you say, and you did already what you tell us in the book. So I think there is only positivity in there. Thank you so much for coming here today and presenting this to us.
Thanks for having me, Omar. Always love speaking with you, and I appreciate your support.
Great, thank you, Ben.
Cheers, man.